just because we'll never miss on these videos is just simply the reason we'll make these videos. There's always something to tell the people. And, you know, and the main focus of my day has been realizing that accountability is not having your hand held. A lot of motherfuckers in this world expect another human being to take time out of their existence to ensure that they get what they need to get done for themselves done, like a motherfucking child. 𝙎𝙬𝙊𝙆𝙎 your world is yours. And that's the difference between bosses and bitches. That's the difference between masters and slaves in this world. The difference between men, women, adults, and the fucking baby boys and the baby girls and the fucking children. You know what I'm saying? The mature wise souls and the infantile fucking imbeciles. It's the ability to get shit done without being fucking babysat like a fucking baby. 𝙎𝙬𝙊𝙆 your world is yours. Listen, accountability, that's what you get when you fuck with me. If you come around me and you think we're gonna lower the standards because of your feelings, you can get the fuck from away from us. It's as simple as that. What low-level people don't recognize is that they're not necessary. They feel as if they're necessary. They're very dispensable. You know what I mean? So 𝙎𝙬𝙊𝙆 your world is yours. So many people have been programmed into having relationships where people argue with them and go back and forth and plead with them to be better people. We don't give a fuck. If you choose to not align with the standards, you can get the fuck to stepping. We don't really care if you're around. In fact, we want you to not be around because you're such a liability that you decrease value. When low value gets introduced to high value becomes low value. You see what I'm saying? So if you're not matching the standards and the expectations, then bounce. But accountability is mistaken as, like I said, being babysat in their handheld. When real accountability is being made to feel like shit for not handling your business as you ought to have handled your business, for not having had done the things you were supposed to do the way you were supposed to do them. So many of you have an aversion to feeling like shit. And, you know, when you operate in divine authenticity and raw standards, boundaries, and truth, a lot of people will feel like, oh, you're gaslighting, or you're manipulating. Like the people who use the words gaslight, you're only gonna hear me use this term in reference to the people who use the term in an argument like this. The people who use the term gaslight, you know, narcissist, the people who use ego, the people who don't judging, you're judging, that you're shaming. Bro, they judge people who judge. Their egos are the things that they use to limit other people's egos. They're using their egos to limit other people's egos because their egos are offended. They're the narcissistic ones. They're the ones who are shaming shamers. So after we get past what are called ad hominem arguments, ad hominems, right? I don't have time to explain that, but basically it's when an individual, instead of confronting the subject matter in question, aka the performance and the results in question, an ad hominem is an attack on the character of the person, bringing up the standards, expectations of performance and results which are in question. So instead of addressing the fact that they're poorly performing, that they're a liability, that they're decreasing the value, that they fucking suck, right? Instead of being accountable to their poor results, right? They'd rather attack your character, call you a narcissist, call you a gaslighter, call you all this other, you're shaming, you're judging. Yeah, I am judging. I have no problem with that. Now, can we get back to the point? Yeah, I do find that quite shameful. You know what I'm saying? So it's the fact that accountability is the ability to feel like shit for not having done the things you're supposed to do. That's real accountability. And when you think about it on a human evolutionary scale, and you downsize, because we live in these mega metropolis, megaplexes, you get down to the tribal element of things where there's probably like 30 to 50 people in the unit, maybe 10 to 30 to 50 people max in the unit, right? When you do some dumb shit, some liability shit, some shit that goes against the tribe's values, that compromises and increases the risk for the group and the collective by doing some dumb shit as an individual, you get sent to sit outside in the woods or some shit to sit and think about your fucking actions, right? That's accountability. Accountability isn't somebody saying, oh, it's okay, you keep fucking up. No, it's not okay. See what I'm saying? So we just live in a world of like hypersensitive pussies and a world full of just low accountability narcissists on some real shit. And I just get to this point where, you know, we just can't live in this world where people consistently need supervisors. Like I build masters, bro. I'm a master myself, you know, and I always tell my students in this way that imagine you were a manager of a cafe and you decided to leave the floor. You got your barista, you got your cashier, you know, you got your line cook or whatever, the sandwich maker. You know, you got a person making a sandwich, person making a coffee, and a person ringing up the register, right? As soon as you leave, you leave and watch the cameras, you're gonna see a motherfucker on their phone, motherfuckers is slacking. But as soon as you walk back in the door, why everybody getting tight, getting back on business? Right, because they need supervisors. And that's that employee bullshit mindset, where people only perform at the standards that are actually expected when they're being supervised by another person. And that's why most of you will never be executives, most of you will never be bosses, most of you will live as employees and live as proletarians, wage earners, and have low positions in society because you failed to be able to do the work you should do the way you should do it, to the level it should be done, without somebody supervising you and holding your hand to get it the fuck done. Whatever you are, your world is yours. In a world full of people who cry about money and who are broke as fuck and who fucking suck at life and who blame and complain and never look at themselves for how much they fucking suck and don't allow themselves to feel like shit because they fucking suck, and realize that, as Wes says, regret is a notification for self-preservation. You know what I'm saying? So when you go against the grain, when you fail yourself, you're supposed to feel ashamed of yourself so that you get that notification from internally to never do the thing that transgressed or betrayed your best possible reality, right? Because what is mental health besides living in your best interest? And once you deviate from living in alignment with your best interest at any given time, now you're living mentally unhealthy, right? So this is just intrinsic to the universal structure. Whatever you are, your world is yours. But we live in a world full of people who just lack the accountability and who want to avoid feeling the shame that comes with being a fucking failure. Whatever you are, your world is yours. Now, I don't have no shame in winning. They'll always try to shame the winners. You know what I'm saying? Like, haters will always try to shame winners, make you feel bad for winning. And because failing is so normative, failing is so abundant, failing is so frequent, people fail to recognize even more failure. People fail to recognize that failure is the shit that we should be really questioning. Instead of making successful people feel ashamed for fucking winning, all of you losers actually should feel ashamed for fucking being losers. But this is when you realize those who don't reflect project. Those who don't want to sit there and accept the pain and the shame of being a fucking failure, instead of reflecting on their actions to correct their conduct, to correct their performance, to correct their outcomes, to correct the results, they'd rather project their feelings of inferiority, they'd rather project their feelings of inadequacy, they'd rather project their feelings of self-hate, they'd rather project their feelings of low self-esteem onto people who are fucking winning, as if it's our responsibility that they're fucking losing. Whatever you are, your world is yours. Consider vibration raised. Accountability is not having your hand held. Accountability is not being babysat. When you fuck with a motherfucker like me, and that's why most people, it's not that they don't want to fuck with me, they can't fuck with me, because you fucking suck to the degree that you always falter to the fact that you want somebody to accommodate your shortcomings, accommodate your feelings, you know what I'm saying, and play into your low-level bullshit. It's not that you don't want to fuck with me, it's that you can't fuck with me, because over here, we don't do the fucking babysitting, we don't do the supervising, we don't do none of that shit. You get the fucking work done, or you made to be a bitch. That's what the fuck we call it. Be a fucking bitch. You's a bitch. Only reason you didn't get this shit done is because you's a bitch. And once you start to admit that you're just an incompetent bitch, it gets very fucking simple. Whatever you are, your world is yours. Consider the vibrations raised. It's too fucking easy, because 99 out of 100 people are straight bitch. Straight bitch. You feel me? So y'all see how I could articulately and diplomatically come across, but at the bottom line, bitch. Get the job done or use a bitch. Consider the vibrations raised.